Thank you for getting me here. And I was hoping this will be the projection, but you'll have to concentrate on these two screens now. I'm an exhibition designer. I've I've sort of pretty much in the last 35 years, I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to create experiential spaces. This has been really my journey, and it's been a pretty difficult journey in this country. I've sort of gone through this entire lot. I've studied exhibition design from the NIT, and it was a course that was, to me, the course was about understanding how to create spatial experiences, trade shows, exhibitions, theme exhibitions, museums, to a degree events, sort of are spatial experiences. So the whole journey has been how to create narrative spatial experiences that create emotion. Whether it's an expo and you're showing a car there, they are all for the corporate world, for the thematic world. These are zones of creating emotive sort of spaces which evoke pride and which evoke a sense of the content coming through to the audience. So I'm just showing you some of the work that we've been doing. I'll focus on some projects in more detail. And so the whole idea of being able to create an evocative experiential spaces using a wide variety of spatial metaphors. For example, using sets, using lighting, using film, using video, using audio, using spatial elements. We try and bring all of this together to create a coherent, integrated experience, which is what we call an exhibition. So this journey has been quite, I started many years ago when I joined NIT in the late 70s. This is the time when computers were still sort of big rooms that needed a huge machinery and all of that. And in this, exhibition design was really very new. Exhibition design was more a publicity, DAVP, it was more a thing for government, socialist country that we were. It was more a thing to bring out scenarios which were trade shows. Pragati Maidan was, I think, built around that time when I started my career. And scenarios which were trade shows. Pragati Maidan was, I think, built around. Remember, it used to be one main exhibition, and it was the public sector companies that used to come and participate. So from there, I've been watching this industry grow from those early. It was the public sector companies that used to come and participate. So from there, I've been watching this industry grow from those early days to now. From those days when we had to go and do photographic text composing to make a text panel. From there, what we moved to now, you've been all talking about exhibition design in the earlier sort of talks that I've been hearing. The time has really come for exhibition design to get counted. Exhibition design now is becoming a very important tool. This gathering here somewhere is addressing exhibition design in its own way. Yeah, you've talked about creating experiential spaces. So if you look at these slides, this is at the Festival of India in the Soviet Union way back in '87. This is Gorbachev's time and all of that. And we had to take Mahatma Gandhi there. And we created, in those days we created like a set-based, semi-immersive, those days these were semi-immersive experiences. We took audio cassettes, we were India, there was only that much we could do. So we had audio cassettes which were giving us sound and with which we used to control lights. So those were the earliest days of creating immersive experiences. So we use scenarios like sets to create immersive experiences. Yeah, and then what I've realized that in design, it is we are hugely constrained. You were talking about the stress that we go through in trade shows. You know, this fear and anxiety are the core sort of two values of our system. You know, and it's all about in design being able to use these core values to create, to make sense out of it, to make those constraints our opportunities. And like for example, this is at the Victorian Albert Museum in London, and we had to do an exhibition Modern India. You know, this is in '89, Mera Bharat Mahan time, and this is when Punjab terrorism was at its peak. Meaning whatever we take to the V&A, they will say that we are a failed country. Yeah, but this was about India. So, and there was no budgets. Obviously, Government of India projects, they don't have budgets. So this one was done on a scaffolding. So we chose scaffolding, cost efficient, effective. We chose a scaffolding to show India on construction, under construction. So we tried to tell them that India is 60 years old, and India is new, and India is in construction. Whatever we are constructing from is the debris that they left behind. So metaphorically it worked. It had great impact, and the media loved it. And it still covered, you know, it still covered the traditional India. It still covered the whole story. So so it was all about conceptually making it happen. So we've done, you know, we carry on doing, so over time, these exhibitions started to become more and more experiential because technology started to permit us to do that. So this was, I'm showing you some thematic work now because then I'm going to go on to trade fairs. So this is an exhibition on time at the IGNCA, which this is a museum on Swami Chinmayananda. But if you look at the slides, can you see the slides? Yeah, so if you look at the slides, you'll understand that the story is getting more immersive in terms of using of spaces and all that. This is again a museum on the Nirankaris. Pragati Maidan, this is 1989. TVS Group, and they were, you know, they were 14 automotive companies. They made automotive parts. They don't make the car. They don't make a vehicle. So here the vehicle became an illusion, and it's just panes of glass, and what you see are the parts that TVS makes. So these were the days when we were allowed 7 days in Pragati Maidan. So in 7 days we used to set up these constructions, fairly large stalls. But even then we started making volumetric spatial experiences with our spaces. So, and there were times when I think at this time, those were the early years when the corporate world was still understanding. This was the first sort of decade of when they were trying to still understand what the exhibition medium can do for them in a trade fair. So we started to understand that their stories, that there was a sense of pride in the corporate, and to come and exhibit and to do a showcase in a trade fair was, apart from the marketing strategy and all of that, was also the showcase of their pride and their sense of being, and a place where they will stand shoulder to shoulder with other corporates and show similar stuff together. For example, this is a very interesting sample. This is Mahindra's, and they've taken a huge hall, 14,000 square meters in Pragati Maidan, and they were going to launch the Scorpio. So 3 months before the launch, before the exhibition came up, we were told that there is no Scorpio to launch because they weren't ready with it. So we only had the old cars, and we had to create. So we did a whole Bollywood experience here. We created a Bollywood story around Mahindra's, and we created a set, and we brought in the Bollywood dance and their showcase, and we embedded the story, and we made Mahindra very, very visible at the Pragati Maidan. So, in spatial terms, to me, I've also done sets for films. Again, it's quite similar. It's a similar scenario to doing trade shows and to doing exhibitions. Because again, you are learning the same spatial sort of essence and you're converting that into a filmed, storyline. So the experience here was very interesting because these are the very elements that work wonders in a spatial experience too. Now, what I want to talk to you about, you've been talking about exhibition design here. For this industry to, we still have a long way to go in India when it comes to exhibition design. We haven't quite figured it out as yet. We have been following a model that's more or less Western, and we somehow in trade shows, especially in trade shows, we don't really go down to the fundamentals. We create a look and feel which is fairly plastic, but I think if it just went one shade deeper, you will get much more in a trade show too. For example, simply by sitting to develop a concept which is unique for your exhibition, if we only went a stage deeper, questioned the client, understood the story behind the client, understood the value behind the product that we're talking about, understood the value in the context of the larger trade fair, we will automatically come to a solution which will be centered to what we are trying to do there. Somehow we don't do it. We're not quite there as yet. It's time that we did that to trade shows. It's time it's time exhibition design got one stage better. We have gone beyond trade shows. We do thematic work. So for us, research and conceptualization is the basic pillar of getting our work done. So for us, it's different. This is the model that needs to be applied. For example, this is a typical drawing. This is a scene of Banda Bahadur, and this is a drawing that's made in miniature style, and it's going to finally become a 3D layered sort of exhibit level of this nature. It's about engagement. It's about engagement with the purpose of putting up of why you want to do this exhibition there. And so much more gets answered. So, and then there is this business about us being unique chaps. We are from India. We are all these things that we've been talking about India, the Make in India, and all of that. We are unique and we are India. Yeah. So how do we bring that aspect in? The Japanese have done it very well. The Germans have done it very well. How do we stand tall, whether we are exhibiting in India or we are taking our exhibition outside the country? How do we stand tall as Indians in the global world? Because whatever we are doing in our exhibitions now, they are we are following we're blindly following a sort of pretty patchy Western model. Our exhibit design elements are pretty much like that, from our signages to our lighting to the way we do our graphics. We're pretty much following that quite without a sense of anchor. Yeah, I'll show you some of the projects now, and I will tell you what I mean by this anchor. But I really feel that we need to instill a far greater pride in ourselves for being Indian. Yeah, that's all there is there in design. If we just instill our pride for being Indians and innovate and create our domain from the subject of the exhibit, we will get a solution that will be unique, that will be ours. Because this is a country which has so much in skill. So we have to, and this is our generation has to do this. Somewhere, like for me, the 70s, we knew nothing. We knew only about, whatever few books that we could find We were at a time when we didn't have enough, and it was only the Western idiom that was working for us. But all that has changed so drastically in the last 30 years, 40 years. It's a huge difference. Today we are really on the wave, you know, and we're riding it. We are there in IT. We are there. We stand on our feet now, and we have to reflect that in our design, in of our trade shows, in our exhibitions, and our museums. We need to change that. Patrick, will you play the film? I'm going to show you a little film. I'm going to show you a project that we did for a corporate museum here in Noida. And I'm just going to show you, this is a making of film, we just show you the kind of input that can go into creating an experiential exhibition. Experiential is sensory. Experiential is something where space is involved, where script is involved, where the story is involved, where materials are involved, all kinds of materials are involved, where sets are involved. And experiential is when you make a truly sensory experience and you evoke all the senses. When you merge technology with the scale of the hand, where you bring in, the special effects in space and add that into a spatial experience, where you integrate cinema into space, where you make audience feel they're walking into a theater, where you make the audience practically walk into a film. So to me, that's truly immersive. Again, immersive, we've started using the word, it's a nice buzzword. But again, I feel we're not really understanding what is the value of immersive, what immersive can actually be. Yeah, this was an exhibition we did at Aichi at the World Expo. Me and Binu, we did this together. And typically, World Expos are very big. World Expos are places of pride. All the countries of the world are together, and each stall is spectacular. It's all about setting your country up right there in that world platform. This is probably the largest non-trade show that happens in the world. The Eiffel Tower was made for the World Expo. So this is in Aichi in Japan, and they cleared a part of the forest for this. The theme was nature's wisdom. So it was all about nature, and India was going to stand there and talk about their version of nature's wisdom, and so were the other countries. So all we had was a building, was a black box with a facade. So typically, all other countries start working 3 years before the World Expo, but India works 1 year before the World Expo, and normally has 1/10 the budget that the other countries have. So we said nature's wisdom to us in India is something that's inherent with us. We recycle, we do everything correctly for nature. We live with nature. So it's not a foreign concept for us. So we took the facade, we took flowering trees of India, and we planned to make this whole thing by hand. So our whole World Expo pavilion was really handmade. And we said we didn't have the money to use, star craftsmen. We said we'll use local popular craft. We use, ladies in Khichdi-pur and all that to make these flowers for us. So it was a whole hand-done exhibition. Yeah, we made the Bodhi tree, and it was quite stunning, the kind of response that this got at the World Expo. So, to me, it was a very earnest, sort of genuine description of India and the country. So, and it worked out, it drew lots of crowds. It was probably the 4th most popular pavilion at the World Expo. And So all I'm evoking is that we have been following the wrong model. I think in the beginning, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have a choice. We've been following a Western model. Our museums are showcases, whether it's a national museum or the other museum, they are showcases of where we put trophies in a sequence. Yeah, our trade shows are very Western model. They are bad versions of very nice trade shows that happen worldwide. Yeah, but it's time to change the model. Our museum models, for example, the showcase model was fine for the British because what they have to showcase are trophies. But in India, we are a living culture. So we have to break the showcases model and go into storytelling. This is the Virasat-e-Khalsa in Anandpur Sahib in Punjab. Major building, fairly, look at the scale of the building. Huge spaces done by this American architect called Moshe Safdie. And our whole thing was to fit this story of the Sikhs into this building. We started working on it, we realized that there was no artifacts to exhibit. It's an oral culture, it's a living culture, they have no artifacts. So we made storytelling as a main tool here. So this is a purely storytelling museum. It works with audio guides. You have language choice, Hindi, English, Punjabi. Audio guides are self-trigger. You walk through it, and as you walk through spaces, the spaces talk to you. And since we had no artifacts, we had to build a sense of the artifact. So we sat and we handmade this entire museum. All these images that I showed you, this is a big sort of installation called the boat building. It took us 3 years to hand paint this. Yeah? And so this is a handmade, tactile museum that kind of speaks to you and emotes with you. It's poetic, and these are miniature artists who make paintings of this scale, and they made paintings which are 14 meters tall. And there's a dari at the back there, which is 14 meters high, hand woven dari in Mirzapur or wherever. So embroideries, and we are telling a story through this. We are recreating this time, we are recreating that period, and we are telling a story with emotion. And what this showed us was the amazing, incredible, largest range of skill and talent that we have in this country. It's just incredible what all we can do. This is one country that doesn't forget time. This is a country that can make the Taj Mahal all over again in the same way they made it then. So it's about, and it's not about being ethnic. It's not about trying to do something old-fashioned in the modern world. It's about integrating, because that's the way we Indians are. It's about integrating, our tradition, our skills that we have, and bringing the skills into an exhibit mode, and bringing this and making these our tools to work with. So, and it was a great learning, because I was always told this is too elitist and people do not like it, people don't understand it, because this really is the story for the farmers and people of the soil. But it was amazing. We had 70 lakh visitors coming in the first 3 years. We ran this museum 8 in the morning to 8 at night for the first 3 years. And even now, weekends have 7,000 visitors, and otherwise 4,000 visitors a day. So this is Anandpur Sahib, back up beyond, far away from, and people don't really know too much about it. So it just told me that these things work. Using traditional skills, integrate them into the modern world. In the modern world works. This is a museum on play the film. So this is a museum for the DS group, Dharamlal Satyapal, and they wanted a museum. They said it's a typical museum normally where you put up the history and showcase it. But the more we understood them, we realized that they had a very beautiful story to tell. So again, this museum has become a storytelling space. So the first section, for example, of their journey is the forest of fragrances, because their whole work is with fragrances. So this is a tactile, sort of handmade forest that you walk into with audio. There are sensor-driven smell machines. So when you walk into the rose area, you use the fragrance of roses come to you. So you walk into these various zones, installed, very tactile. You actually get the essence of the core value, which is fragrance. They start with fragrance. So screens, merge digitally printed screens with hand embroidery on top. Handmade things with, wood panels, It's very contemporary. When you look at it, it's as modern as any other modern exhibition or museum space can be. But I also feel it's very Indian. You know, it is us, India in the modern world, standing tall in the modern world. That is the essence of doing this. Highly realistic mannequins, completely audio controlled, centrally server controlled, systems. Do the next one.
दिल्ली का चांदनी
Their life started in Chandni Chowk.
14 अगस्त 1900
So here's the Chandni Chowk set. We actually got a Bollywood guy to write a script for this. We got Dilip Shukla who's written 2.5 kilo ka haath and those Salman Khan films and all that. So we actually wrote a whole story behind this, dramatized it. उनकी दुकान को आग लग जाती है, and then how started from a small shop and how he built this into this, into a big corporate entity. And so we made the spaces evoke. The space transforms as you stand in it. And the story carries on like that. So we used cutouts, we used trompe-l'oeils, we used hand paintings. Holographs and so on.
नाम तो तुमने बहुत अच्छा सोचा है, बाबा.
But more than anything else, what I'm stressing on here is the integration. It's not that these are permanent museums. So in permanent museums, you have longer time to do these things. But integrating various scenarios together, various modes that we have, because to bring together is what is truly immersive. So and that can happen as much in trade shows as they can happen in fully established museums of this nature. This is a corporate story. So we convince them to do the whole corporate story with the song. So there's a whole song that's running there. It's a 360-degree story.
धन्यवाद करता हूँ.
So that's broadly my story. Basically, to sum up, this morning discussion that you all had was very inspiring. I really think, talking as an exhibition designer, that it's time these organizations went to the design schools. I've been visiting a whole lot of design schools, starting with NIT, there's MIT in Pune, there's Srishti in Bangalore, there's Pearl here. They all have some kind of exhibition design facility. They are teaching exhibition design. But they're really in the shallow waters. They don't really know. I think if the industry goes and meets them and helps them out, you will have a crop of exhibition designers coming out which will help this industry. So I think it's time that this, this coming together happens between you guys. I think you people need to go to the students, to the schools, and get them going with this. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you something that was a marvelous presentation and really an eye-opener. It's always, been the case that, growing up as children, going to the museum never seems to be a very great idea, and I don't think children are very motivated to go because they always think of going to a museum as something which is very drab because everything is in set pattern and labeled and you make an effort to read. So I think it is really a laudable effort, and if this can be, replicated for our museum to take a look at the history, because, I remember when I was growing up, I had a lot of interest in history, and that the reason was that my uncle was a history lecturer, and he always explained to me history through form of storytelling, and that is what really created that interest, and I could now relate to what you said. So what do you think could be done in terms of creating that interest in history, especially in our children, because that is where you form the seed,
I couldn't agree with you more. I think our museums need to be pulled down. This is the time, really. We've made. I hate museums. I hate going to these Indian museums. I can't take my children there. I can take nobody there. It's such a shame because we just put trophies. They are like trophy collections. Like I'm saying, it's the wrong model. If, for example, if you're looking at the 6th century AD, say Gupta period, we have the stone sculptures in one place, we'll have the coins in some other gallery, we'll have miniature paintings in third gallery, textiles in the fourth gallery. How the hell will you know what's going on? Imagine if all these things came together, became like a key gallery, and it actually told you the story of the Gupta period. Imagine how much we'll all learn. We'll all want to go there then.
But how do we get this across and now give the museums a makeover? Because I think that is really important, and especially children of today's times need to, take that interest.
See, it works. This works very well for VNA. For the British Museum, because they're, they are trophies, they are collections like that. So there they can exhibit it. You can go and see it for the piece, for the sculpture. But here it's a living tradition. We are a living history. So we have to bring them together, we have to contextualize. That's when the schools will go, that's when we'll actually impart true history to students. Hamara to confusion hai, we don't even know what a true history is. We have one school of thought which is a different history, today it's a different history, there's a history point of view also keeps changing. Macaulay ne kuch bola aur humne kuch aur bola, So it has to start in museums.
True.
So a revolution needs to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If anybody else would like to ask anything. So may I request you to kindly introduce yourself first and then ask the question. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. I'm Professor Kumar, Colonel from Army. I just come to attend your conference here. Very well, you have made an excellent presentation. What we go to the museum or we go to the historical places, what is that? We look for a guide. We look for a guide to brief us, right? What I feel, instead of a guide who got his talent, his way of expressing the thing, way of explaining the things to you, why don't we have a audio-visual system when you go to a museum to get a set, put it on your head,
Absolutely.
you go in front of an object, as soon as it has been tallied where you are standing, the audio presentation comes to your ears and you are explained. Right. That is what your effective strategies of presentation is there.
Yes.
What do you think about it? What my way or my point of,
Very right. Very
making a thing more three-dimensional, presentable, and more explainable to you, so it is more effective in understanding the object or going to a monument.
Absolutely. Very right. That's the way to go. In sector 62, 67, sector 67. Is there corporate office there in the factory? No, you have to take permission to go there because it's within their corporate office. They normally, if you just tell them that you want to come and see the museum, they quite happily, sector 67, But you're very right, that's what we've done in Virasat-e-Khalsa. We have audio guides and they are doing exactly this. And now technologies exist.
It is there.
It has to come. It is coming. It's coming now.
Probably an unfair question to you. We have been able to sell that Nagoya idea, but till the buyer, the client, is fully educated, they attend this conference and they understand what experiential spaces mean, I find it extremely difficult to sell it because finally we
Yeah.
had to make it commercially viable. When we were in Tokyo, I asked you, why don't you buy this jacket? It's coming very cheap. And you said that I look very funny in a jacket. But I had to wear a jacket, tie, and go and sell these ideas. And I find it extremely difficult. And something which is really disheartening is that unsold ideas. You know, once we did an exhibition for Mr. Bhatia, Gautam Bhatia, Unbuilt India. Unbuilt India.
Right.
You know, the best designs remained unsold. Similarly, if you go in this tangent, you know, currently I don't know whether the client is mature enough to address, allow us to build this one. You are fortunate that you got some clients who allowed you this one. It's not a question actually, it's a statement.
Yeah.
And this is an issue that I am facing, or we are all facing.
Yeah, I think the answer is pretty simple. I think all of us individually, all us people who do exhibitions, who put up trade fairs, trade shows, or any other show that we put up, we just need to stand there and be counted. I think it's pretty easy. Immersive doesn't cost all that much more money, you know, and immersive can be installed. I think it'll be easier to install immersive in 7 hours than to install a big structure in 7 hours. You know, if you're getting 7 hours to install an exhibition, you know, it's just a matter of, I think, standing up and saying we'll do it correctly. You know, setting up design parameters, encouraging designers here. Where are the designers? You know, I keep looking for them myself. So that's why I'm saying, please go to the design schools. Let's get the designers going. Let's encourage them. Let's create the space for them. You get the demand from the designers, you know, for the designers to become that, you know. No, it's not just architects who will do exhibition design. You know, exhibition designers could be conductors of exhibitions, you know. So just, you know, it has to be it's a two-way street somewhere, and we have to make the change. And really, if this generation we make the change, we'll make a difference later. Otherwise, हम अभी ना अपने museum ठीक करेंगे, we'll make them better, but we'll make them not good enough, and we'll have to repeat the cycle all over again because we make 1,000 mistakes all, you know, once more. Because now we have the money, we understand, you know, and we have the desire to make changes, no? Make in India it shows that desire to make a change and to make a change for India and be Indian. But let's do it correctly. My only fear is we may lose the plot, you know, and we need to really buck up for that. This is really the time. This next decade is a deciding decade. So.
Hi, Amar. I come from an architectural background.
Yeah.
The question I have here is, there is a difference between translating from a sketch of a paper to a final reality.
Yeah.
And what plugs towards the reality is the skilled force. Where do you find that we are missing in the skill development of people who really execute the designs on the floor?
You know, we have huge skills in this country. There's just incredible amount of skills that we have. It's just that we haven't dovetailed them properly. You know, it's like to do Khalsa. Yeah, we've used all the skills possible, and they stood up. You know, we asked, demanded, and it happened. You know, and they did a great job. What you've got there is really high quality, from hand skill to production skill. You know, and to technology skill. It's huge. It's major technology embedded in that museum. You know, but it's still a handmade museum. So we found the people. It's just a matter of us having to look and to get organized. We are not organized enough. You know, our trade shows, we've understood the business of a trade show now, for example. We've understood the business, we've understood what systems can do and what systems can't do. We have understood that we need to do some customized work within the exhibit design of a trade show and also use the systems. We also understand constraints of cost and time and how much hours we get at the site. So that much we've understood now. Now we need to harness talents. We haven't done enough to harness talents. Skills hai. The painters are sitting. Bollywood has now stopped doing hoardings because now Bollywood is doing, you know, whatever, prints, yeah. But the thing is, the skills are there, you know, and the skills. This country is crazy. It's humongous in terms of skills. I don't think there's a parallel to the kind of skill that this country has in the world, you know. And we guys are creating showcases. We guys go, you know, all your organizations, they go and to other countries of the world, and we put up shows. It may be selling cars or selling, you know, industrial equipment. That's okay. But we are showcasing India, no, in its own way, yeah. But we're sort of taking the easy way out. You know, we're doing some basic panels. The corporate guy wants his name put, his branding done. We do that, and we try and make it as good as the Germans do and as the English do and the French do. Not good enough. You know, somewhere there has to be some. You know, corporates have R&D. You know, and where they try and develop products of the future. You know, it's time that you guys in the trade of exhibitions also did some R&D, started developing talent, started creating some scenarios which is different from the world, you know, which is sort of more focused for you guys. Our Indian corporates, they have major stories to tell. The Mahindras, the Godrej's, the TVS's, you know, the Hindujas, stories of patriotism, of nation building, of modernity, of technology, they have all of that, you know. So don't tell me there can't be a glimmer of that in your trade show. There can be, I think. I think it's somewhere we have to do this alongside. I'm not saying change the trade shows. I think we are fine with the trade shows. But just that little dimension has to be added to it, I think. And so we be counted as Indians too. Thank you.